Bad Boys for Life is directed by Adil and Bilal, and this is their follow-up to their follow-up of Michael Bay's two films, Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys Ride or Die picks up a couple years later after Bad Boys for Life. I don't know why they chose these names, but whatever, here we are. It's almost on brand for Bad Boys, honestly. But Ride or Die is actually really fun. I had a great time with this movie. It's really dumb, like, let me be very clear, but it's incredibly entertaining. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. It won't be in my top 10 by the end of the year, but it's in there now. I didn't go into this movie expecting to want to watch it more than once in theaters, and I gotta be honest, there's one particular scene in this movie that I'm like, I want to watch this more than one time in the theater, so I will be going back. I really enjoyed this one. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's friendship picks up from where you left it, and it doesn't feel like it's changed in 20 years, and that's the best part of the movie. It brings a heartwarming nature to the movie that I wouldn't have expected in a Bad Boys movie. The friendship they have feels really down to earth and earned and lived in, and I don't know that you get that oftentimes. And it's only because Martin Lawrence and Will Smith just know these characters inside and out. And they're not afraid to like play around with each other and joke with each other and prank on each other. And you really feel that it feels like their relationship transcends behind the camera. Like, it really works. I'm happy to see Will Smith back on camera. I really missed him. And this feels like the right role to reintroduce him to us. And he is so good for the role of Mike Lowry. Like, he really feels lived in, and I'm happy to see him back on screen. There's an element of this movie that you would have thought they would have left out, considering where they left Bad Boys for Life, and they reintroduce it. They don't shy away from it just because the son is locked away. Like, he's in this movie and they treat him well, and it feels very natural. It doesn't feel shoehorned in. It really works. And I think that's another thing that I'll get to later with Adil and Bilal. I'm really interested to see what they do in the future. Martin Lawrence just lives to play Marcus. This might be his best movie yet in the Bad Boys franchise. I haven't watched much Martin Lawrence outside of this franchise, but it might be my favorite performance of his. He really steals this movie. He has some things going on that makes him reevaluate some other things in his life. It really brings some new things to their relationship. And the way he interacts with Will now in this movie is really, really, really funny. Martin Lawrence doesn't skip a beat. He really leans into it, and it really works. Anytime they're on screen, like, you really feel their presence, and that's what a Bad Boys film needs to be. The thing about the relationship that is surprising to me is it still feels like it's developing. It doesn't feel like it's stopped. It doesn't feel like it's complacent. It still feels like it's developing. And when you're 4 movies into a franchise that's over 20 years old, I don't know how you're doing that. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence just really elevate these characters. So Adil and Bilal. If Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are elevating the characters, I love what Adil and Bilal are doing with them, because they're bringing a lot. This is very much a love letter to Michael Bay and his original Bad Boys franchise, while kind of transcending some of the issues that movie may or may not have had, both in like how well it was made, but also in some other regard that I will let you figure out. This movie feels heartwarming in a way that doesn't feel like it's adverse to the franchise, but adds a nature of interest that feels better than just watching an action movie. I don't know a better way of explaining that, but the movie's elevated and doesn't just feel like you're watching Will Smith and Martin Lawrence in an action movie. It feels like there's a connection there that I don't think is in the other movies, and it really works. It's very heartwarming, very wholesome, and Adil and Bilal, I think, is credited to that. They give a love letter to Michael Bay for sure, but they also bring their own DNA to it. And this just feels like the genetic makeup of a Michael Bay and Adil and Bilal film, and it works because of that. Now, the action set pieces. Adil and Bilal might be the best ever to it. Hands down. Like, entertaining action, summon blockbuster, like, they might be the best. I am so mad that we did not get to see Batgirl. Actually, I'm not joking. Like, the movie is probably bad, but I would have loved to see what they did with it. Because in this movie, they do some things with the camera that Doug Liman and Roadhouse tried to do earlier this year. And I liked what they tried to do earlier this year. But in this movie, Adil and Bilal 100% did it about 15 times better. And that's not a joke. Adil and Bilal really are killing it as like this new generation of action directors. And I'm so curious. I don't know if I want to see them do another Bad Boys film or if I want to see them do something entirely different. I'm almost leaning to I want to see them doing something entirely different, because I think they have such a a distinct voice, and it really works, and it's super entertaining. Now the movie. I think the movie is fine. It's good. It's about as high in ratings as you expect a Bad Boys film to be. Does it reach the heights of Bad Boys 1 and 2? This is an interesting conversation. I don't think you can make those movies anymore because there's inherently some problematic things there. And take that or leave it however you feel about it. That's up to you. But in this movie, it doesn't feel like it shies away from like what that franchise was, but it certainly transitions it into more of a heartwarming. I don't want to use the word family friendly because it's not family friendly, but it is certainly aware of where the world is at today. And it doesn't push jokes to a point where it's problematic, but it's not funny because of that. Like it writes clever jokes in this movie that work, that still feels like it has the DNA of those movies. I hope that makes sense. If you've seen the movie, I know you know what I'm talking about. There's one joke in this movie that I can't tell is intentional or not, but I think that might make it more funny. Either way, like this movie is really fun. I really enjoyed myself. I will be going to see it again. Adil and Bilal and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence just really knocked this out of the park. And I would be down to see another Bad Boys film. And I think that's the best compliment I can give it. Anyhow, if you have seen this movie and you have thoughts, I would love to hear what you think about this movie. And if you haven't seen thoughts, are you planning to go see this movie? I would love to hear your thought and why or why not. Are you happy to see Will Smith again? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you like what you see and you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and I would really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.